Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
She said that if there was a time when you were getting beat up in a room and couldn't walk out, you would reimagine it in a way that you were actually able to leave the room.
You were in the courtroom. I want to get your sense of how the jury was reacting to Cassie's testimony throughout the week, especially.
In November 2023, singer and model Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against her former partner, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, alleging a decade-long pattern of abuse, including rape, sex trafficking, and domestic violence. The lawsuit marked a significant moment in the #MeToo movement, bringing attention to alleged abuses within the music industry. Cassie, whose full name is Cassandra Ventura, met Combs in 2005 when she was 19 and he was 37.
Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, is set to retake the stand and face what we expect to be her final round of questioning under cross-examination. Court currently is on a short lunch break, but if you recall, the judge previously said that he wanted Ventura's cross-examination to wrap up before lunch today. Prosecutors have said that Ventura, who's nearly 9 months pregnant, could soon go into labor.
Over the last hour, the defense has been asking Ventura more about her 2018 rape allegation against Combs, Ventura's drug use, her mental health problems, and a 2014 threat that she made to a man who claimed he had seen a sexually explicit tape of her, also raised in court. The defense at one point asking Ventura, quote, "Do you still have love for him?" referring to Combs, and Ventura answered by saying, quote, "I have love for the past and what it was."
By 2006, she had signed a record deal with Combs' label, Bad Boy Records. The lawsuit claims that Combs lured her into a romantic relationship and introduced her to a lifestyle characterized by excessive alcohol, substance abuse, and violence. One of the most disturbing claims involves freak-offs, where Cassie alleges Combs forced her to engage in sexual acts with male sex workers while he watched and filmed the encounters. These sessions were reportedly accompanied by heavy drug use, including ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, and marijuana.
The defense is right when they say that Cassie Ventura is the most critical witness to this case. The defense is doing its job because what they're trying to do is bring out that she's not a perfect person, that they're saying she might have wanted to engage in these freak-offs on more than one occasion, that she was willingly staying in this relationship with Sean Combs, even though she knew that it was an abusive one. They're bringing out things that she said to other people that are less than flattering. All that being said, the government doesn't need to have a perfect victim. What the government has done this week essentially is establishing the sex trafficking crimes that they've charged Sean Combs with. And I would argue that they are well on their way to proving these crimes. A lot of people don't realize that with sex trafficking, you don't have to have movement anywhere. You don't have to go across state lines. A lot of times people confuse it with human smuggling. Here, somebody can be trafficked in their own home. All you really need is someone providing somebody else for that commercial sex act. And when I say commercial, I mean anything of value, not even necessarily money, to be given by force or coercion. And so Cassie Ventura has done her job this week for the government, and now the defense is doing its job to try to make it seem as if she wanted to be in this relationship and that what happened in those freak-offs was not coerced.
Cassie also alleges that Combs raped her in 2018 when she attempted to leave the relationship. The lawsuit describes a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking that persisted until their relationship ended in 2018. Combs has vehemently denied the allegations, labeling them as offensive and outrageous. His attorney claimed that Cassie had previously demanded $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which they characterized as an attempted blackmail. Shortly after the lawsuit was filed, Cassie and Combs reached an out-of-court settlement. Cassie stated that she decided to resolve the matter amicably on terms that she had some level of control over.
We're in the courtroom. I want to get your sense of how the jury was reacting to Cassie's testimony throughout the week, especially the pictures and the texts that they got to see so far.
Well, I was in the overflow room today, but the consensus about the jury is that they've been pretty stoic. There was one juror who seemed to have a bit of a reaction when they were shown sealed photos. I believe it was about 2 days ago. These were freeze frames of Cassie and Sean Combs and an escort in an alleged freak-off still shots. So there was a little bit of a reaction there. But again, overall, the consensus also in the overflow room is just that people are shocked at a lot of this testimony. a lot of the evidence that's coming in, and it's tough. We are seeing, I guess, just like this side of Cassie that, unfortunately she's had to disclose to all of us to help get a conviction for Sean Combs. And you really feel for her because she's remained so composed throughout, her cross-examination, her the redirects, and she's 8.5 months pregnant, and we didn't see her lose her temper or just get, angry at all or frustrated, and I find that to be pretty incredible.
Despite the settlement, federal authorities continued to investigate Combs. In March 2024, federal agents raided his Los Angeles mansion, seizing items including 1,000 bottles of baby oil and various electronics. The mansion, valued at $61.5 million, had been listed for sale shortly before the raid. In May 2025, Dawn Richard, a former collaborator with Combs, testified in the federal sex trafficking trial against him. She recounted witnessing multiple abusive incidents, including a 2009 event where Combs allegedly tried to hit Cassie with a skillet and later beat and dragged her. Richard also claimed she was threatened by Combs.
This like, when you hear all these things, and of course this is their side of the story, but when you hear these things, it's just like, dude, like, why was this man so possessive, so demonic, so just, I don't know, like, you got that much money, you're on the top of the world, and you really think that you're invincible. I mean, people can be rich and do a gang of positive things for people, I ain't saying he ain't never helped anybody out, but a lot of times when they do that, it's to mask all the craziness that they do. But I'm just saying, think about someone in his position just doing good and great things for people, man. But you have this, doing all the freaky stuff, that's not the issue with him having that type of life. It's just when all the illegalness comes in, and I think that's what people are getting confused on. They think like the domestic stuff and the other stuff don't go hand in hand. It does. And even though he's not being charged, but it goes hand in hand. And like I said, if you're on the jury, I don't know how you can look past that. It's the control factor. So he was using intimidation to get what he wants.
Combs' defense team has acknowledged his history of domestic violence but argues that these acts do not constitute sex trafficking. They claim that the sexual encounters were consensual and part of a swingers lifestyle. The defense aims to separate Combs' admitted faults from the specific criminal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Cassie's lawsuit and the subsequent legal proceedings have sparked widespread discussion about abuse in the music industry. While there has been significant public condemnation of Combs, there has been relatively little response from his peers in the record industry. This silence has been noted as a common pattern in the hip-hop community when dealing with allegations of violence against women. The allegations against Sean, Diddy, Combs have brought to light serious issues regarding abuse and exploitation within the music industry. As the legal proceedings continue, the case serves as a reminder of the importance of supporting survivors and holding individuals accountable for their actions, regardless of their status or influence.
That if there was a time when you were getting beat up in a room and couldn't walk out, you would reimagine it in a way that you were actually able to leave the room. Do you see this potentially backfiring on the defense?
Oh, Brianna, you took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, you are exactly right. The defense needs to be really careful what they're doing here because she is a victim. She is a victim. She has put herself out there and saying that she survived these horrific instances of rape, of other assaultive behaviors, some of which we've seen evidence of. on that videotape that CNN exclusively obtained and then broadcast, and thank goodness for that. And so with the defense trying to go down this road, trying to attack her therapy, the government's going to get right back up there and say, well, the only reason she needed to go to therapy and seek EMDR and the other types of therapy was because of the actions of your client, Combs' attorney team. So they're going to go right back at it and say that had she not been so brutally traumatized, she wouldn't have had to seek therapy, and that's a good thing. And certainly anybody on that jury who's ever been to therapy or knows anything about it, they're going to be thinking about how Cassie Ventura could be being traumatized right now, again, in having to relive all of the various questioning for days from both sides. So you're right, Brianna, this is a slippery slope that the defense team is on right now with her.